I'm Dan Moloughney, broker of record with Ottawa Urban Realty. It is October 30th, 2020, and this is a quick little update on what's going on in the Ottawa real estate market. So, of late, I've had multiple people, let's say in the last few weeks, ask me specific questions about what's going on or how, if the market is shifting, if we're seeing less of a seller's market. And I'm going to say, without having the stats to say anything, that I would say it feels like the market isn't balanced. It's still a seller's market, but it's returning in the direction of balance. So an example of that would be, say, a home that a few weeks or months ago may have sold well over asking with, say, 5 or 6 offers, which was fairly common in the real estate market of Ottawa for the last year and a half, 2 years. Maybe it only sells with one offer. Maybe it sells at asking. Maybe it sells 1,000 over asking. Maybe there's 2 offers. It sells 5 or 10 grand over asking. And for those of you that aren't following the market of late, you might think, well, that sounds really good for the seller, and it frankly is, because the prices are up a fair bit over last year. But I would anticipate that we are heading more towards a balanced. We're not a balanced market yet, but we're heading in that direction. And if you are a buyer now, that maybe you were frustrated over the last, seriously, over a year and a half, it's been very frustrating for buyers. So if you're a buyer that has been sitting on the fence or considering it, or maybe even you've made a few offers or thought about making offers and then, didn't get around to it, it might be a good time to get started. We're starting to see a lot more listings come to market, and I expect that there may be opportunity for those buyers that maybe couldn't have gotten into the market previously to get into the market now and find the best house. So what about sellers? What are sellers supposed to do now? Well, if you're a seller, you still put your house on the market, and you'll most likely do very well and sell within a reasonable amount of time. Will it be sold in 5 or 6 days with 8 offers? Possibly. Will it be sold in less than 30 days? If it's priced properly, it most likely will. Do you have to get your house ready to sell? Well, yeah. You want to show your house as good as possible for the situation you're in. If you're not in a rush, do you wait till the spring? That's another question I've had recently. Well, I don't know what the spring's going to bring. Normally we'd say, there's a lot more buyers in a spring market, but there's also a lot more sellers. And one thing that's happened this year is that I believe a lot of the potential sellers that would have gone to market in the spring this year certainly waited until at least August, September, and even some into October, and some people just put it off indefinitely. Let's say people moving within Ottawa to, say, upsize or downsize or right size or whatever you want to call it. They didn't do anything because they were unable, a lot of them were unable to purchase the house that they wanted next, so they didn't put their house on the market. And that's part of what drove up the prices in Ottawa. It was like a negative or a positive feedback loop for pricing, no houses on the market, so a lot of buyers for each house. So if there's 4 offers on a house, it means there's 3 people that were disappointed. One person generally gets the house, right? So, and then of those 3 people, if 2 of them had a house to sell, that house doesn't go to market. And that perpetuates the problem with not having enough listings. So what's going on now? I think we're seeing a lot more listings coming to market now of people that maybe wanted to make sure that they sold this year, or they're tired of waiting, or that selling prices have hit a point where they're like, oh, maybe it's time to move from Ottawa, especially with people that are working more remotely more often, or they're cashing out. They're going to live at the cottage. They're going to, we'll say snowbirds, but that's not happening this year. But people have lots of different options, and eventually house prices get to a point where people decide to sell. So I wanted to comment on that, and in particular the delayed listing of homes from earlier in the year, I think was a big problem for the buyers of homes in Ottawa, and it fed back to make it more difficult for everyone, driving up prices. So as of October 30th, I am going to suggest, 2020, I'm going to suggest that we are still in a seller's market. We are most likely still going to see appreciation for the remainder of the year and into next year. But that appreciation is going to feel tame compared to the last year and a half, 2 years, where the appreciation's been higher than anyone in Ottawa has ever seen before. What's going to happen in November? I think we'll still see some more listings come. I think we're going to see the occasional home have a price reduction. Certainly there's homes where the seller are like, well, I'll sell it if I get this much, or, we're not that motivated, but if we get enough, we'll sell it, kind of idea. So those houses, if they decide that it is time to move on, they tested the market enough, they're going to reduce their price, and then buyers are going to have more options. I'll just say one more thing. Buyers have been priced out of neighborhoods very quickly in the last year and a half, 2 years, let's just say 2 years. They might start with their preferred neighborhood in a smaller home and then realize they can't even get the smaller home in that neighborhood, and then maybe they go a bit further, or let's just say to a less expensive neighborhood, whether it's further out of the core or not, or they're actually leaving the city because they believe they'll be working from home for the foreseeable, if not extended, future. Anyways, so I guess what I'm trying to say is maybe the Ottawa market is the price point is balancing out. Instead of having a large, higher house prices mostly closer to the core, maybe that's spreading out. And if you're someone that thinks of maybe pricing as say a 3D graph over the geographical layout of Ottawa, you might consider that peak in the mountain is spreading wider to more of a plateau. If that makes sense to you, I hope it does. I'm happy to explain it more if you want to chat about real estate. My name's Dan Moloughney. Let me know if you have any questions. I'm always happy to chat. Take care.